Hello there, and welcome to the AstroSleep channel. I am so glad you found your way here tonight. The day has finally come to its end, and the noise of the world is beginning to fade into the background, leaving only this quiet moment for you. Tonight, we are not going to worry about the schedules or the demands that usually occupy our minds. Instead, we are going to embark on a very different kind of journey. We are going to drift away from the surface of the Earth, leaving behind the weight of gravity and the rush of time, to explore the serene and boundless ocean of our universe. We often think of space as a place of cold emptiness or violent forces, but tonight I want you to see it differently. I want you to see the cosmos as a vast, silent cathedral, a sanctuary where stars are born in slow motion and galaxies dance over billions of years in a rhythm so gentle it is almost imperceptible. We will travel from the familiar quiet of our own planetary neighborhood, past the rings of giant worlds, and out into the deep, velvet darkness where ancient light travels across the ages. This is a journey designed not to stimulate your mind, but to soothe it, allowing you to float on a sea of knowledge that is as comforting as a lullaby. If these calm, curious explorations help you unwind, it helps other sleepy souls find their way here too. And now, there is nothing left for you to do but rest. The responsibilities of the day have been completed, and tomorrow is still far away, waiting patiently for its turn. For this moment, you are safe, you are warm, and you are exactly where you need to be. I invite you to make yourself as comfortable as possible. Adjust your pillows until they feel like soft clouds supporting your head, and pull your blanket up until you feel warm and secure, creating a cocoon of safety around you. Let us take a moment to turn our attention inward, to the quiet rhythm of your own body. I want you to focus on your breathing. You do not need to change it or force it into any particular pattern. Just observe it. Watch the air as it flows in, cool and steady, filling your lungs with life. And then watch it as it flows out, warm and slow, carrying with it any tension you might be holding. With every exhale, imagine that your body is sinking deeper into the mattress, as if gravity itself has softened, becoming a gentle hand pressing you down into a state of perfect relaxation. Feel the muscles in your face soften. Let your jaw unclench, allowing your mouth to rest naturally. Let the tiny muscles around your eyes smooth out, erasing the expressions of the day. Feel this wave of relaxation travel down your neck, into your shoulders. We often carry so much weight on our shoulders, the invisible burdens of our tasks and worries. But right now, you can set all of that down. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears, sinking lower, feeling heavy and loose. Allow this feeling of warmth and heaviness to flow down your arms, past your elbows, all the way to your wrists and hands. Let your fingers curl naturally, soft and still. You have nothing to hold on to right now, nothing to grasp or control. You can simply let go. Feel the relaxation moving down your spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, unwinding any tightness in your back, reaching all the way down to your hips and your legs. Your legs feel heavy, like anchors grounding you in this peaceful moment, sinking deep into the surface beneath you. As your body becomes still, imagine that the walls of your room are slowly becoming transparent. They are fading away, dissolving into the soft, dark velvet of the night sky. The ceiling above you opens up, revealing a breathtaking panorama of stars, not harsh or bright, but glowing with a steady, ancient light. You are no longer just in a room. You are drifting safely in your own private vessel, a ship of the imagination that is comfortable, warm, and perfectly safe. The silence here is profound. It is not an empty silence, but a rich, heavy silence, the kind that wraps around you like a thick blanket. In this space, time does not tick away in seconds or minutes. Here, time flows like a slow, deep river, measured in the turning of planets and the lifetime of stars. You are free from the urgency of the clock. You are free to simply be. As we prepare to look closely at the wonders of our universe, keep this feeling of heaviness in your body. Keep your eyes closed or soft and unfocused, and let my voice be a guide that you can follow or ignore as you wish. You might hear every word, or you might drift away, long before we reach the edge of the galaxy. Either way is perfect. We are about to begin our first journey, staying close to home in the quiet, slumbering neighborhood of our own solar system, where the planets move in their eternal, silent orbits. Let us begin our observation right here, on the very surface where you rest, by turning our minds to the immense and gentle motion of our home planet. We observe that the Earth is never truly still, but is always engaged in a slow, rhythmic rotation. Scientifically, we know that our planet spins on its axis at a speed of roughly 1,000 miles per hour at the equator, completing one full revolution every 24 hours. This is not a chaotic spin, but a steady, unwavering pirouette that has continued for billions of years, a motion so smooth and constant that we cannot even feel it as we go about our days. It is like a giant cosmic cradle that is perpetually rocking, gently turning you away from the brilliance of the sun and carrying you into the soothing coolness of the shadow, over and over again. In this endless rotation, we find the first comfort of our existence, the promise that darkness is not an absence, but a resting phase, a necessary turn of the wheel that allows the world to breathe out. We observe that this rotation creates the phenomenon we call the terminator line, the moving border between day and night. This is the geometric line that separates the illuminated side of the planet from the side shrouded in darkness, sweeping across continents and oceans at the speed of the Earth's rotation. You can imagine it as a soft, sweeping curtain of twilight that travels endlessly westward, touching mountains and cities, signaling to every living thing that it is time to slow down. It is a wave of quietude that washes over the globe, turning the bustling energy of the day into the hushed whispers of the night, extinguishing lights and closing flowers as it passes. By closing your eyes now, you are simply joining this planetary rhythm, allowing the tide of shadow to wash over you, just as it washes over the forests and the seas. We observe that our world is wrapped in a delicate, protective layer known as the atmosphere. This is a complex envelope of gases, primarily nitrogen and oxygen, held close to the surface by gravity, thinning out gradually until it merges with the vacuum of space. It acts as a shield against the harsh radiation of the cosmos and the debris of the solar system, burning up meteors until they are nothing more than fleeting streaks of light. Viewed from space, it appears as a thin, glowing blue halo, a fragile veil of mist that separates the warmth of life from the eternal cold of the void. Resting within this layer, you are held in a breathable ocean, a pressurized sanctuary that was crafted over aeons to keep you safe. We observe that gravity itself is a form of constant, unwavering affection from the Earth. In the language of physics, gravity is the curvature of space-time caused by the mass of our planet, a fundamental force that draws all matter. It is the invisible glue that keeps the oceans from drifting into the sky and keeps the atmosphere from evaporating into the blackness. But tonight, you can feel it as a gentle, heavy hand pressing you down into your bed, grounding you, assuring you that you do not need to hold on because the Earth is holding you. It is the ultimate embrace of nature, a promise that you belong here, anchored safely to this world while it sails through the stars. We observe that deep beneath your sleeping form, the Earth is generating a vast invisible shield called the magnetosphere. This magnetic field is created by the geodynamo effect, powered by the churning molten iron core thousands of miles below our feet. It extends far out into space, deflecting the high-energy particles of the solar wind that stream toward us from the sun. It is like a silent, shimmering umbrella that is always open, a force field that we cannot see or touch, yet it stands guard every second of every day. Even as you sleep, completely unaware of the cosmic weather outside, this ancient, magnetic heart of the planet is actively protecting you, diverting the storms of space into harmless auroras near the poles. We observe that the biosphere, the realm of life, follows a synchronized pattern of rest known as the circadian rhythm. This is an internal biological clock found in almost every organism, from the simplest bacteria to the great whales, regulated by the cycle of light and dark. As the sun sets, a chemical signal spreads through the natural world, prompting the leaves of plants to droop, the birds to cease their songs. It is a collective exhale, a time when the frantic energy of survival is replaced by the restorative stillness of growth and repair. When you drift into sleep, you are not alone. You are harmonizing with a pulse that beats through every living thing, joining a chorus of silence that spans the entire globe. We observe that the oceans, too, obey a slow and powerful rhythm dictated by celestial forces. The tides are the rise and fall of sea levels, caused by the combined effects of the gravitational forces exerted by the moon and the sun. Twice a day, the waters of the world swell and recede, a massive hydraulic breathing that cleanses the shorelines and stirs the deep currents. It is a hypnotic motion, back and forth, rising and falling, as predictable and soothing as the chest of a sleeping giant. In this movement, we see that fluidity and softness are not weak, but are capable of shaping the world over time, just as your rest shapes your strength for the days to come. We observe that the Earth is not merely a rock, but a vessel traveling through a vast emptiness. Our planet orbits the Sun at an average distance of 93 million miles, traveling at a speed of 67,000 miles per hour. Despite this immense velocity, the journey is so smooth, so perfectly balanced between momentum and gravity, that we feel absolutely no motion at all. We are passengers on the most stable cruise imaginable, drifting through the vacuum without a single jolt or vibration to disturb our peace. This stillness is a gift, an illusion of permanence that allows us to build, to live, and to sleep without fear, trusting in the smooth trajectory of our celestial path. We observe that the air you breathe tonight is a legacy of ancient times. The oxygen filling your lungs was largely produced by microscopic cyanobacteria and prehistoric forests over 2 billion years ago. During the Great Oxidation Event, every breath you take is a connection to the deep past, recycling the same atoms that have sustained dinosaurs, ancient civilizations, and the very first creatures to crawl onto land. The atmosphere is a library of history, an invisible heritage that circulates around the globe, connecting all living things in a web of shared breath. As you breathe slowly now, you are tasting the history of the world, accepting a gift that has been prepared for you over aeons. We observe that the darkness of the night is not empty, but is a canvas for the heat of the day to escape. This is the process of radiative cooling, where the Earth releases the thermal energy it absorbed from the sun back into space in the form of infrared radiation. It is the planet's way of cooling its fever, balancing its temperature so that life can thrive within a comfortable range. You can feel this cooling as the night air settles against your window, a refreshing dip in temperature that invites you to pull your blankets closer. Just as the Earth releases its heat into the void to maintain its balance, you too can release your worries into the night, letting them radiate away until you are cool, calm, and balanced. As we gently drift upwards, leaving the protective embrace of the Earth's atmosphere behind, we find ourselves in the quiet, empty space that separates our world from its closest companion. We turn our gaze to the moon, the silver guardian that has watched over the Earth's sleep for billions of years. Astronomically, the moon is a rocky satellite, roughly 1/4 the size of Earth, locked in an elliptical orbit that keeps it tethered to us at an average distance of 239,000 miles. It is not merely a rock, but a silent partner in a cosmic waltz, swinging around our planet in a path that is predictable, steady, and devoid of any sudden changes. We can picture it as a loyal lantern held aloft in the dark hallway of space, a beacon that circles us endlessly to ensure that the night is never truly absolute. In its presence, we find the comfort of continuity, a reminder that even in the vastness of the universe, we are not traveling alone, but are accompanied by a friend that never leaves our side. We observe that the light of the moon is actually a borrowed radiance, a softness reflected from the sun. The moon produces no light of its own. Instead, its surface is composed of grey regolith with a low albedo, which reflects only a small fraction of the sunlight that strikes it back toward Earth. This process transforms the blinding, fiery intensity of the sun into a cool, ghostly glow that is safe for our eyes to behold and gentle enough to sleep under. It acts as a great celestial mirror, filtering the harshness of the day into a tranquil beam that washes over the rooftops and the oceans, turning the world into a landscape of silver and shadow. This teaches us that one does not always need to burn with their own fire to be beautiful. Sometimes it is enough to simply reflect the light, to be a quiet vessel for the brilliance that surrounds us. We observe that the moon keeps a single face eternally turned toward the Earth. This phenomenon is known as tidal locking, or synchronous rotation, where the time it takes for the moon to spin on its axis is exactly the same as the time it takes to orbit the Earth. Because of this gravitational dance, the moon slowly pivots just enough to keep its features fixed upon us, never turning its back, never looking away. It is like a parent watching over a sleeping child, maintaining a constant, unblinking vigil that spans across eons, a gaze that has witnessed the rise of mountains and the drift of continents. There is a profound sense of intimacy in this lock, a symbol of unwavering focus and loyalty that binds these two worlds together in a stare that will last until the end of time. We observe that the surface of the moon is a silent record of ancient history. These features, which we call maria, or seas, are actually vast plains of solidified basaltic lava that cooled billions of years ago, while the craters are the preserved impact sites of asteroids from the early solar system. Because the moon has no wind, no rain, and no flowing water to erode these marks, every scar and every valley remains exactly as it was formed, frozen in a state of perfect preservation. It is a museum of stillness, a library of stone, where time has stopped, holding the memory of the universe's chaotic youth in a stillness that is now absolute. Looking at these ancient scars, we understand that endurance is beautiful, and that the wounds of the past can settle into a landscape of peace and quiet dignity. We observe that the moon exerts a powerful, invisible influence on the waters of our world, creating the tides. The moon's gravity pulls on the Earth, creating a tidal force that causes the oceans to bulge out toward it. And as the Earth rotates beneath this bulge, the sea levels rise and fall. This creates a planetary rhythm, a slow, deep breathing of the ocean that occurs twice a day, every day, moving quadrillions of gallons of water with a gentle, relentless power. It is as if the Earth is inhaling and exhaling in harmony with the moon, a long, slow respiration that cleanses the shores and circulates the energy of the seas. You can rest in the knowledge that this rhythm is carrying on right now, a heartbeat of water and gravity that requires no effort from you, rocking the edges of the continents while you sleep. We observe that the moon is covered in a layer of fine, soft dust known as regolith. This powder is the result of billions of years of micrometeoroid impacts, which have pulverized the lunar rocks into a substance as fine as flour and as soft as snow. It blankets the entire lunar surface, softening the jagged edges of craters and creating a landscape that looks smooth and velvet-like from a distance. Because there is no air to disturb it, a footprint left in this dust will remain undisturbed for millions of years, a testament to the profound stillness that reigns there. It reminds us of a quiet attic where nothing ever moves, a place where the silence is so deep and so old that it has become a physical blanket covering the world. We observe that there is a side of the moon we never see, often called the far side. While often mistakenly called the dark side, it actually receives just as much sunlight as the near side, but it faces away from Earth into the deep void of space. This hidden hemisphere is rugged and mountainous, having a thicker crust that has protected it from the lava flows that smoothed out the side facing us. It is the moon's private sanctuary, a face turned exclusively toward the stars, shielding our planet from the radio noise of the universe and keeping its own secrets in the shadow. It suggests that there are parts of ourselves and parts of the universe that are meant to be kept private, hidden realms where silence can exist purely for itself. We observe the changing shape of the moon, the cycle of phases from new to full and back again. These phases are created by the changing angles between the Earth, the moon, and the sun, revealing different portions of the sunlit side as the moon travels along its orbit. It is a slow, monthly breathing of light, where the moon seems to open its eye to a full, radiant circle, and then slowly close it again into a slender crescent of slumber. This cycle is the oldest calendar known to life, a celestial clock that teaches us that it is natural to wax and wane, to have moments of fullness and moments of retreat. Just as the moon fades into darkness only to return anew, your energy is allowed to fade tonight, knowing that it will return bright and full when the new day begins. We observe that the moon is slowly, very slowly, drifting away from us. Due to the transfer of energy from the Earth's rotation to the moon's orbit via tidal friction, the moon is moving away from Earth at a rate of about 1.5 inches per year. This is not a sudden departure, but an incredibly slow, elegant drift, a long goodbye that will take billions of years to unfold. It is a motion so subtle that it feels like stillness, a reminder that even the strongest bonds in the universe allow for space and freedom. Even as it drifts, it remains our anchor, teaching us that change can happen so slowly that it does not disturb the peace of the present moment. We observe the rare and beautiful phenomenon of a total solar eclipse. This occurs because, by a remarkable cosmic coincidence, the moon is 400 times smaller than the sun, but also 400 times closer to Earth. When they align, the moon slides perfectly in front of the star, blocking out the overwhelming light and revealing the soft, ghostly corona of the sun's atmosphere. It is a moment of perfect alignment, a celestial kiss where the day briefly turns into a twilight hush, and the stars come out to witness the union. This perfect fit reminds us that there is a hidden order in the cosmos, a harmony of size and distance that suggests everything is exactly where it is supposed to be. We observe that the moon has no atmosphere to scatter light. On the lunar surface, even when the sun is shining brightly, the sky remains a deep, ink-black void, because there are no air molecules to scatter the blue light. as they do on Earth. This creates a stark and beautiful contrast, where the ground is awash in brilliant light, while the heavens above remain in an eternal starry night. It is a place of absolute clarity, where the veil is lifted and one can look directly into the infinite depths of the universe without obstruction. In this realm of high contrast, we find a simplicity that is restful, a place where there is no haze, no confusion, only the light, the dark, and the silence. We observe that the temperature on the moon swings in a slow, deep rhythm. Without a blanket of air to trap heat, the surface plunges into deep freezing cold during the 2-week-long lunar night and rises to boiling heat during the 2-week-long day. But deep below the surface, the temperature remains constant and stable. There are craters at the poles that have been in shadow for billions of years, holding ancient ice that has never seen the sun, sleeping in a cold, dark preservation. These shadows are the deepest sleeps in the solar system, places of eternal rest where not even a photon of light disturbs the peace. We observe that the moon acts as a stabilizer for the Earth's tilt. The gravitational pull of the moon acts as a steadying hand on the Earth's axis, preventing it from wobbling chaotically over time. Without this stabilizing influence, our planet might tilt wildly, causing catastrophic climate shifts, but the moon keeps us steady at a gentle 23 degrees. It is the anchor that allows our seasons to follow their predictable, comforting rhythm of spring, summer, autumn, and winter. You can sleep soundly, knowing that this balance is being held for you, that the steady hand of the moon is keeping the world upright and calm. Leaving the silver quiet of the moon, we now turn our faces toward the source of all warmth, drifting gently toward the golden heart of our solar system. We observe that the sun is not a solid surface, but a vast glowing ocean of plasma. It is a ball of superheated gas, primarily hydrogen and helium, held together by its own immense gravity, a sphere so large that 1 million Earths could fit comfortably inside it. Yet despite this unimaginable size, it hangs in the sky with a perfect round stillness, glowing with a steady light that has not flickered for billions of years. We can imagine it as a great cosmic hearth, a fire that burns not with the chaotic crackle of wood, but with the smooth, silent hum of a star at peace with itself. It is the ultimate constant in our lives, a presence so reliable that we close our eyes each night with the absolute certainty that it will return to greet us in the morning. We observe that the light touching your skin today began its journey a very long time ago. While it takes only 8 minutes for light to travel from the sun's surface to Earth, the photons themselves are created deep within the core and can take up to 100,000 years to fight their way to the surface. This process, known as the random walk, sees particles of light bouncing endlessly in the dense interior, absorbed and re-emitted millions of times before they finally find their way to freedom. This means the sunlight warming the world today was actually born before human civilization existed, wandering through the dark maze of the star, while our ancestors were just learning to make tools. It is a reminder that good things take time, that the warmth we feel is a messenger from the deep past, arriving exactly when it is meant to, after a long and patient journey. We observe that the sun breathes out a constant stream of particles known as the solar wind. This is a flow of charged particles, protons and electrons, that escape the sun's gravity and stream outward through the solar system at 1 million miles per hour. It is not a wind that rustles leaves or waves, but a silent, invisible river of star stuff that washes over the planets, bathing the entire solar system in the atmosphere of the star. Imagine the sun exhaling slowly and steadily, blowing a vast bubble of influence that pushes back the interstellar clouds, creating a safe harbor for us in the galaxy. We are living inside the breath of a star, protected and encompassed by this vast invisible exhalation that flows around our planet like water around a stone. We observe that the sun has a heartbeat of its own, a rhythm known as the solar cycle. Every 11 years, the sun's magnetic field flips, creating a cycle of rising and falling activities marked by the appearance and disappearance of sunspots on its surface. These spots are cooler, darker regions that drift across the face of the star, like islands on a sea of fire, signaling the shifting tides of magnetic energy below. It is a slow, decade-long respiration, a cosmic waxing and waning that shows us that even the mightiest stars have periods of rest and periods of wakefulness. This rhythm teaches us that energy is never static. It flows in cycles, and just like the star, you too have times of high energy and times of quiet retreat, and both are natural. It is a narrow band of comfort in a universe of extremes, a temperate shore where the conditions for life are perfectly balanced. We can think of it as a warm spot near the fire, exactly the right distance to feel the glow without being burned. This suggests that we are not random accidents, but are cradled in a specific, cherished distance, kept warm by a universe that seems to favor the conditions for life and sleep. We observe the phenomenon of solar flares. When the magnetic field lines of the sun become twisted and snap, they release bursts of energy that travel out into space. When this energy reaches Earth, it does not harm us, but instead paints the sky with the breathtaking colors of the aurora borealis, curtains of green, violet, and red dancing near the poles. It is the sun's way of touching our atmosphere, transforming raw power into a display of silent, shimmering beauty that people travel thousands of miles to witness. It reminds us that even turbulent energy can be transmuted into something beautiful, that storms can dissolve into art if we have the atmosphere to catch them. We observe that the sun is currently in the most stable phase of its life. It is a main sequence star, about 4.6 billion years old, sitting comfortably in the middle of its long lifespan, converting hydrogen to helium at a steady, predictable rate. It is not a young, volatile star throwing tantrums, nor is it an old, dying star expanding in size. It is a mature, calm presence in the prime of its existence. It is like a wise elder who has settled into a routine of perfect calmness, burning with a patience that will last for another 5 billion years. In this long middle chapter of the star's life, we find the stability we need to dream, knowing that the light will not change, fade, or falter for eons to come. We observe that the sun creates a vast bubble called the heliosphere. This is the region of space dominated by the sun's magnetic field and solar wind, extending far beyond Pluto, acting as a shield against the interstellar medium. It pushes back the high-energy cosmic rays from deep space, creating a calm clearing in the galaxy where our solar system can exist in peace. Imagine a bubble of light floating through a dark ocean, a protective sphere that carries us safely through the spiral arms of the Milky Way. We are traveling in a submarine of solar influence, protected from the harsh waves of the galaxy by the silent, steady pressure of our own star. We observe that the energy of the sun is the source of almost all movement on Earth. The winds that blow, the clouds that drift, and the rivers that flow are all driven by the heat energy provided by sunlight. Even the fossil fuels we use are simply pockets of ancient sunlight, captured by plants millions of years ago and stored deep within the Earth. The sun is the great engine of our world, but it works so quietly, fueling the weather and the waves without a sound, powering the cycle of life from 93 million miles away. As you rest, you can feel that the energy within you is also a form of starlight, borrowed for a brief time to let you think, breathe, and dream before it returns to the flow. We observe the inevitable future of the sun as a gentle transformation. Billions of years from now, when its hydrogen is depleted, the sun will slowly expand into a red giant, glowing with a softer, redder light. It will not simply vanish, but will swell in size, embracing the inner planets in a final, warm expansion before shedding its outer layers to become a beautiful planetary nebula. It will leave behind a white dwarf, a small, dense diamond of a star that will cool slowly over trillions of years, a quiet monument to the life it once supported. This is not an end to be feared, but a natural change, a reminder that all things evolve, shift, and eventually find a new form of stillness in the dark. We observe that the sun is moving. The sun orbits the center of the Milky Way galaxy at a speed of 500,000 miles per hour, taking nearly 230 million years to complete one orbit. This means we're on a spiraling journey, never returning to the exact same place in space. We are nomads of the cosmos, traveling with our star through the great glittering city of the Milky Way, exploring the universe simply by staying still. You can let go of the need to get anywhere tonight, for you are already traveling faster than you can imagine, carried safely in the gravitational arms of the sun. Leaving the immediate warmth of the sun, we now turn our attention to the rocky worlds that share our inner solar system, the silent siblings of Earth that drift through the vacuum in their own solitary orbits. We observe the first of these wanderers, the small and swift planet Mercury. As the closest planet to the Sun, orbiting at an average distance of 30 to 6 million miles, it exists in a realm of intense solar proximity where few other objects can survive. Despite the overwhelming glare of the star nearby, Mercury possesses no atmosphere to scatter the light, meaning that standing on its surface, one would see a sun of immense size set against a sky of absolute starry blackness. It is a world of stark and beautiful contrasts, a scorched landscape of grey rock and dust that sits in an eternal, silent meditation before the great fire of the solar system. In this harsh proximity, we find a lesson in resilience, observing how even the smallest of worlds can endure the greatest of intensities by simply maintaining its own quiet stability. We observe that Mercury is covered in deep scars and craters, much like our own moon. These impact basins, such as the Caloris Basin, are the preserved records of a heavy bombardment period that occurred billions of years ago, frozen in time because there is no weather to erode them. Without wind or rain to smooth away the past, Mercury holds on to its history with a perfect, unchanging memory, wearing its ancient wounds like badges of honor. It looks like an elder spirit of the planetary family, a wrinkled and wise observer that has witnessed the birth of the solar system and kept every story etched into its skin. There is a peace in this permanence, a suggestion that the events of the past do not need to be erased, but can simply become part of the landscape, resting quietly forever. We observe that Mercury has a unique relationship with time. Due to a phenomenon called spin-orbit resonance, Mercury rotates on its axis 3 times for every 2 orbits it completes around the Sun, making its day incredibly long. A single day on this planet, from one sunrise to the next, lasts for 176 Earth days, meaning the sun crawls across the sky with an agonizing slowness. Imagine a morning that lasts for months, a long drawn-out awakening where the shadows stretch across the craters for weeks at a time before shifting. This extreme slowness reminds us that time is not a fixed rushing river, but can be a wide, calm lake, allowing us to savor every moment without the urge to hurry. We observe the second wanderer, the radiant and mysterious Venus, often called the Earth's twin due to its similar size and mass. Venus is the brightest object in our night sky after the moon, often appearing as the morning or evening star. This brilliance comes from its thick reflective atmosphere, which bounces 70% of the sunlight it receives back into space, making it shine like a polished gem. It is the veiled queen of the solar system, wrapping itself in layers of thick white clouds that hide its surface completely from the prying eyes of the universe. This teaches us the beauty of mystery, showing that one can be radiant and bright, while still keeping their true self hidden comfortably beneath a protective layer. We observe that the atmosphere of Venus is a heavy, warming blanket. The air on Venus is composed almost entirely of carbon dioxide, creating a runaway greenhouse effect that traps heat so efficiently that the surface is hotter than Mercury, even though it is farther from the Sun. While this environment is extreme, we can view it from a distance as a world of eternal warmth, a place where the temperature never drops and the air is thick and heavy, like a weighted blanket. It is a planetary cocoon, sealed off from the cold of space by miles of cloud, creating a pressurized chamber of stillness where the winds at the surface barely move. Just as you pull your covers up to trap your body heat, Venus has pulled the sky down around itself, creating a permanent sanctuary of warmth in the cold void. We observe that Venus spins in the opposite direction to most other planets. This is known as retrograde rotation, meaning that if you were standing on the surface of Venus, you would watch the sun rise in the west. Not only does it spin backward, but it spins with incredible slowness, taking 243 Earth days to complete one rotation, which is actually longer than its year. It is a planet that refuses to follow the crowd, turning against the flow of the rest of the solar system with a leisurely, deliberate grace. This gentle rebellion reminds us that there is no single correct way to move through life. It is perfectly acceptable to turn at your own pace and in your own direction. We move outward to the fourth wanderer, the rusty and silent Mars. Known as the Red Planet, Mars owes its distinctive color to iron oxide, or rust, which is spread across its surface as a fine talcum powder like dust. This is not the angry red of fire or blood, but the soft, warm tone of terracotta and desert sand, a landscape of endless dunes and rocks, sleeping under a pale pink sky. It is a world of quiet desolation, a global desert where the only sound is the occasional whisper of the wind shifting the dust over ancient stones. In this rusted hue, we see the beauty of aging, how the elements can transform a world over billions of years into a place of soft, earthy colors and deep tranquility. We observe the largest volcano in the solar system, resting quietly on Mars. Olympus Mons is a shield volcano that stands nearly 3 times the height of Mount Everest, with a base so wide it would cover the entire country of France. Despite its monstrous size, it is a gentle giant with very shallow slopes, rising so gradually that if you were walking on it, you might not even realize you were climbing a mountain. It has been dormant for millions of years, a sleeping titan that has ceased its fire and now simply rests, its peak piercing the thin atmosphere to touch the vacuum of space. It stands as a monument to potential energy turned into stillness, a reminder that even the greatest forces eventually find their rest and settle into a long, peaceful slumber. We observe the scars of ancient water on the Martian surface. We can see winding channels and dry riverbeds, like Valles Marineris, which suggests that billions of years ago, liquid water flowed freely across this world. These are the ghost rivers of Mars, memories carved into the rock that tell the story of a wetter, warmer past that has long since evaporated into the ether. They meander across the planet like veins, silent testaments to a time when waves lapped against shores that no longer exist. It is a comforting thought that the universe remembers everything, that even when the water is gone, the path it took remains, etched gently into the history of the planet. We observe the thin and delicate atmosphere of Mars. The air here is incredibly thin, roughly 1% the density of Earth's atmosphere, composed mostly of carbon dioxide. This thinness means that the boundary between the ground and space is blurred. The sky changes from a dusty butterscotch color during the day to a deep blue halo at sunset. The Martian sunset is famous for its serene beauty, where the sun dips below the horizon as a small, crisp circle, surrounded by a cool, blue twilight that feels lonely yet peaceful. Watching this alien sunset in our minds, we realize that beauty exists everywhere, even on a cold, dry rock millions of miles from home, waiting quietly to be appreciated. We observe the two small moons that accompany Mars, Phobos and Deimos. Unlike our round moon, these are small, lumpy asteroids that were likely captured by Mars's gravity eons ago, trapped in orbit instead of wandering the solar system. They are named Fear and Panic, but in reality, they are harmless, potato-shaped rocks that drift silently across the Martian sky, casting swift, small shadows on the dunes below. They are like little stray travelers who found a home, caught in the gentle pull of the planet and deciding to stay for the rest of eternity. They remind us that we all drift until we find a center of gravity that feels like home, a place where we can circle safely in the company of something larger than ourselves. We observe the polar ice caps of Mars. At the North and South poles, there are layers of water, ice, and dry ice, frozen carbon dioxide, that grow in the winter darkness and sublime in the summer sun. This creates a slow, rhythmic change in the planet's appearance, a seasonal breathing, where the white caps reach down like frosty fingers toward the equator and then pull back. Even on a dead world, there is a pulse, a cycle of freezing and thawing that has continued uninterrupted for millions of years in the utter silence of the poles. It is a reassurance that cycles and rhythms are fundamental to existence. Nothing stays the same forever, yet the pattern itself is eternal and trustworthy. We observe the silence of the Martian dust storms. Occasionally, winds can kick up dust that covers the entire planet. But because the atmosphere is so thin, even a global storm would feel like a gentle breeze to us. These storms are not violent crashes of thunder and lightning, but soft, billowing clouds of rust that slowly wrap the planet in a haze, dimming the sun. It is like a veil being drawn across a face, a period of introspection where the planet hides itself away to sleep under a blanket of its own making. When the dust settles, the world emerges unchanged. The rocks and craters revealed once more, proving that storms are temporary, but the calm ground beneath is permanent. We observe that these rocky worlds are relics of the early solar system. Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars are the survivors of a chaotic game of billiards played 4.5 billion years ago, the four final worlds that coalesced from the dust. They have settled into their lanes, no longer colliding but moving in a synchronized harmony. They are like siblings who have grown up and moved into their own houses, living separate lives but bound by the same parent star. As you lie in the quiet of your room, you are part of this family of worlds, a conscious observer on one rock, drifting in formation with the silent wanderers of the night. Leaving the solid, rocky grounds of the inner solar system, we now drift across the dark expanse of the asteroid belt to enter the realm of the giants, a kingdom of clouds and ice where there is no surface to stand on, only endless skies. We observe the arrival of the king of planets, the majestic Jupiter. As the largest planet in our solar system, Jupiter is a gas giant so immense that it could contain all the other planets combined within its volume. Yet it is composed almost entirely of hydrogen and helium. It is a world without land, a sphere of swirling gas that thickens seamlessly into liquid the deeper you go, creating a planet that is essentially one vast, shoreless ocean of clouds. Imagine a kingdom built entirely of air and mist, a place where you could float forever through layers of ammonia and water vapor, sinking slowly into a slumber that never hits the bottom. It teaches us that greatness does not always require a hard exterior. One can be massive and powerful while remaining soft, fluid, and yielding to the flow. We observe the iconic Great Red Spot. This is a high-pressure anticyclonic storm, wider than the entire Earth, that has been churning in Jupiter's southern hemisphere for at least 300 years. From our safe distance, it does not look like a tempest, but rather like a beautiful spiraling eye of deep amber and ochre, turning with a slow and hypnotic grace against the bands of white clouds. It is a masterpiece of fluid dynamics, painted on a planetary scale, a storm that has become a stable feature of the face of the planet, persisting through the ages like an old, watchful guardian. It reminds us that even turmoil, when viewed from far enough away or over a long enough time, settles into a pattern of beauty and becomes a part of the harmony of the whole. We observe that Jupiter acts as the great protector of the inner solar system. With its immense gravitational field, Jupiter acts as a cosmic vacuum cleaner, attracting or deflecting comets and asteroids that might otherwise threaten Earth. It stands as a silent sentinel in the dark, using its weight to clear the path for the smaller worlds, catching the debris of the solar system in its gravity well so we don't have to. It is the big brother of the planetary family, taking the hits and guiding the traffic of the cosmos with a gentle but firm gravitational hand. You can sleep soundly knowing that you are being watched over by forces you cannot see, that there are giants in the dark keeping the neighborhood safe while you rest. We observe the faint, almost invisible rings of Jupiter. Unlike its neighbor, Jupiter's rings are dark and made of dust, likely kicked up by meteor impacts on its small inner moons. They are like ghosts of rings, delicate halos of smoke that are so faint they can only be seen when looking back toward the sun, backlit by the light. It wears its crown humbly, a subtle adornment that does not seek attention, but exists simply for the sake of existing. It suggests that true beauty does not always need to be flashy or bright. Sometimes it is the subtle, hidden details that hold the most profound elegance. We move further out to the jewel of the solar system, the magnificent Saturn. Famous for its spectacular ring system, Saturn is another gas giant, but it is the least dense planet of all. In fact, its density is so low that if there were a bathtub large enough, it is a world of lightness and buoyancy. A massive sphere of pale gold clouds that spins rapidly, flattening itself at the poles into a perfect oblate spheroid. Imagine a planet as light as a dandelion seed, drifting through the cosmos with an effortless ease, suspended in the vacuum like a bubble of golden syrup. This lightness invites you to shed your own weight, to let go of the heaviness of your body and float on the surface of your mattress as if you too are made of clouds. We observe the breathtaking rings that circle Saturn in eternal silence. These rings are not solid disks, but are made of billions of individual particles of water ice, ranging in size from grains of sand to mountains, all orbiting independently. They are like a river of diamonds flowing in a perfect circle, reflecting the sunlight with a brilliance that makes them the most stunning sight in our sky. It is a celestial ballet of ice and dust, where countless tiny dancers move in unison to create a single solid form of shimmering white. It shows us how many small, broken fragments can come together to create something of perfect wholeness and unity, a halo of order born from chaos. We observe the silence of the gaps within the rings, such as the Cassini division. These are empty lanes carved out by the gravity of tiny shepherd moons, which orbit within the rings and keep the ice particles in line. These moons are the quiet caretakers of the system, gently nudging the ice back into place, ensuring that the rings remain sharp and defined. They act like sheepdogs of the sky, herding the flock of ice crystals with the invisible leash of gravity, maintaining the structure through gentle influence rather than force. It is a comforting thought that even in the vastness of space, there is guidance, that boundaries are maintained not by walls, but by the gentle presence of others. We observe the mysterious hexagon at Saturn's North Pole. This is a persistent six-sided jet stream pattern, a cloud formation that is mathematically perfect and has been rotating there for decades. It changes color with the seasons, shifting from blue to gold, a slow kaleidoscopic turning of geometry at the top of the world. It looks like a giant cosmic flower blooming in the clouds, a symbol of order and symmetry emerging naturally from the atmosphere. It proves that nature loves patterns, that even in the swirling winds of a gas giant, the universe seeks to organize itself into shapes of balance and harmony. We drift further into the deep cold to meet Uranus, the sleeping giant. Uranus is an ice giant, composed largely of water, ammonia, and methane ices. And it is unique because it rotates on its side, rolling around the sun like a ball. This extreme tilt means that for 42 years, one pole is bathed in continuous sunlight, while the other lies in absolute dark winter. It is a planet that has decided to rest, lying down in its orbit, turning its belly to the stars in a posture of total relaxation. It validates your need to rest differently, to find your own position of comfort, even if it looks strange to the rest of the world. You are allowed to sleep on your own terms. We observe the serene pale blue color of Uranus. This featureless aquamarine hue is caused by the methane in its atmosphere, which absorbs red light and reflects the blue back into space. It is a smooth, flawless sphere of cyan, looking like a frozen drop of water suspended in the black void, calm and unblemished by storms. Looking at it feels like staring into a deep, cool pool of water, a vision of temperature so low and so stable that it slows the mind just to behold it. Let this cool blue color wash over your thoughts, soothing any heat or stress, leaving behind only a clear, refreshing stillness. We observe that Uranus is the coldest planetary atmosphere in the solar system. Despite not being the farthest from the Sun, it radiates very little internal heat, maintaining a temperature of nearly minus 370 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a world of deep freeze, where all molecular motion is slowed to a crawl, preserving the planet in a state of suspended animation. It is the ultimate refrigerator of the cosmos, a place where time seems to freeze along with the elements. In this cold, there is preservation. It is a reminder that slowing down preserves energy, that being cool and still is a way to endure the long ages. We reach the final outpost, the windy and dark Neptune. As the farthest known planet from the Sun, orbiting 30 times farther out than Earth, Neptune exists in permanent twilight, where the Sun is just a bright point of light. It is a beautiful, deep azure blue, darker and more vivid than Uranus, swirling with white clouds that race across the atmosphere at supersonic speeds. It is the lonely sentinel at the edge of the map, patrolling the boundary between the solar system and the true interstellar deep. There is a profound dignity in its isolation, a strength found in being the one who stands furthest out, facing the unknown with a dark, quiet courage. We observe the great dark spot of Neptune. Like Jupiter, Neptune possesses massive storms, but these are fleeting, appearing and disappearing over years, like thoughts passing through a mind. These storms are driven by the strongest winds in the solar system. Yet because the atmosphere is so smooth, they make no sound that we can hear. They are silent hurricanes in a sea of blue gas, churning without resistance, moving with a fluidity that is mesmerizing to imagine. It shows us that one can have great energy and movement on the inside while appearing calm, dark, and composed on the outside. We observe Neptune's largest moon, Triton. Triton is unique because it orbits in the opposite direction of the planet's rotation. A retrograde orbit that suggests it was once a wanderer captured by Neptune's gravity. It is a world of nitrogen, ice, and geysers, a lost traveler that found a home at the very edge of the kingdom, adopted by the giant blue planet. It circles Neptune closely, destined to eventually be pulled apart to form a new ring. But for now, it dances a close waltz with its guardian. It is a story of belonging, reminding us that even those who drift in from the outside can find a place to orbit, a center of gravity to call their own. We observe that a year on Neptune lasts for 165 Earth years. This means that since its discovery in 1846, Neptune has completed only one full orbit around the Sun. Its journey is incredibly long and slow, a pacing that is almost incomprehensible to our hurried lives, measuring time in eras rather than days. It moves with the patience of a god, unconcerned with the ticking of seconds. You can borrow this patience tonight. There is no need to rush to sleep or rush to wake. You are on a long, slow orbit, and you have all the time in the universe. We have traveled past the blue sentinels of the outer planets, and now we drift into the true silence of the deep, crossing the threshold into the vast twilight kingdom known as the Kuiper Belt. We observe that beyond the orbit of Neptune lies a massive ring of icy debris. The Kuiper Belt is a donut-shaped region of space containing trillions of frozen objects, remnants left over from the formation of the solar system 4.5 billion years ago. It is like a cosmic attic where the universe has stored its ancient memories, a quiet archive of dust and ice that has remained untouched and undisturbed since the very beginning of time. Imagine a sea of frozen islands drifting in the dark, a slow-moving river of rubble that circles the sun in a wide, sleepy arc, far from the heat and noise of the inner worlds. In this clutter, we find a sense of peace, realizing that even the leftover pieces, the fragments that didn't become planets, have their own place and their own beautiful orbit to follow. We turn our gaze to the most famous resident of this realm, the beloved Pluto. Once considered the 9th planet, Pluto is a dwarf planet, composed primarily of rock and nitrogen ice, orbiting the Sun in a highly elliptical path that takes 248 years to complete. It is a world of permanent twilight, where the Sun appears only as a dazzlingly bright star in the sky, casting long, faint shadows over plains of frozen nitrogen that are as hard as rock. It is a lonely little king sitting on a throne of ice, ruling over the darkness with a quiet dignity, unbothered by the classifications and labels given to it by distant observers. Pluto teaches us that worth is not determined by size or status, but by the simple act of existing. You are enough just as you are, even if you are small and far away. We observe the giant heart-shaped glacier on the surface of Pluto. This feature, known as Tombaugh Regio, is a vast plain of nitrogen ice roughly the size of Texas and Oklahoma combined, which is remarkably smooth and free of craters. This smoothness suggests that the heart is alive and beating in a geological sense, with the ice slowly churning and flowing like a glacier to erase any scars that the universe tries to inflict. It is a beautiful symbol placed at the edge of the system, a white heart glowing in the dark, suggesting that even in the coldest, most remote places, there is room for softness and renewal. It reminds you that your own heart can remain soft and capable of healing, no matter how cold or distant the world around you may seem. We observe Pluto's partner in this dance, its large moon Charon. Charon is so large compared to Pluto that they do not actually orbit the center of the planet. but rather orbit a point in empty space between them, making them a true binary system. They are tidally locked to one another, meaning they face each other eternally, spinning in a synchronized embrace where neither ever turns away or hides its face. Imagine two skaters on a vast frozen lake, holding hands and spinning in a perfect circle, eyes locked on one another, oblivious to the rest of the galaxy. This is the ultimate form of connection, a promise of presence, where two souls balance each other out, finding their center of gravity in the space between them. We observe the extreme cold that permeates this region of space. Temperatures in the Kuiper Belt hover around nearly absolute zero, a state where almost all molecular motion comes to a complete halt. This is not a biting, painful cold, but a preserving cold, a deep freeze that locks atoms in place and prevents decay, keeping these worlds pristine for billions of years. It is a realm of crystal stillness, where time loses its power to erode or change things, holding the history of the solar system in a perfect, icy suspension. There is a comfort in this preservation, a feeling that nothing is ever truly lost here, only waiting in a long, quiet slumber. We observe the strange and gentle object known as Arukoth. This small world looks like a snowman, formed by two separate icy spheres that drifted together and fused gently at a speed no faster than a human walking pace. It proves that the early solar system was not always violent, but contained moments of incredible gentleness, where objects met with a soft kiss rather than a crash. It floats there as a monument to a peaceful union, two distinct parts that decided to travel the rest of eternity together as one. It reminds us that connections can be made softly, that we can merge our lives with others without force, simply by drifting together in the same direction. We observe the sleeping comets that reside here. The Kuiper Belt is the home of short-period comets, essentially dirty snowballs made of ice, dust, and rock that spend most of their lives in deep hibernation. They drift in the dark for aeons, completely frozen and inert, holding within them the potential for brilliance, but content to remain as dark, silent stones. Only when they fall toward the sun do they wake up, releasing their tails of gas and dust. But out here, they are seeds waiting for a spring that may never come. They represent potential energy at rest, teaching us that it is okay to be dormant, to have seasons of quietude where we show no light, simply waiting for the right moment to shine. We travel further out to the boundary known as the heliopause. This is the precise border where the solar wind from our sun loses its strength and pushes against the interstellar medium, the gas and dust of the galaxy. It is the true edge of our solar system, a stagnation point where the wind of our star finally stops blowing and settles into a calm equilibrium with the rest of the universe. Imagine standing on the shore of a calm island, watching the river of our home system flow out and merge seamlessly into the infinite ocean of the Milky Way. It is a place of transition and balance, where the influence of the individual fades into the collective, reminding us that all boundaries are simply places where two things meet in peace. We observe the silent ambassadors we have sent into this dark heart. The Voyager spacecrafts, launched in the 1970s, have crossed this boundary and are now drifting through interstellar space, carrying the golden record of Earth's sounds and images. They are tiny metal specks in the void, powering down their systems one by one, traveling on momentum alone into the deep silence between the stars. They are like messages in a bottle thrown into the widest sea imaginable, carrying the hum of our existence to a shore that they will never reach. There is a profound peace in their journey, a letting go of the need for a destination, simply floating forever as a testament that we were here and we were curious. We drift even further, into the theoretical shell known as the Oort cloud. This is a vast spherical shell of icy debris that is believed to surround our entire solar system, extending nearly a light year out into space. It is so distant that the sun is just the brightest star in the sky, indistinguishable from the other points of light, its gravity barely holding these objects in a tenuous grip. Imagine a giant invisible cocoon that wraps around everything we know, a protective layer of ice and silence that marks the final frontier of our home. It feels like a warm embrace from the cold dark, a sense of being enclosed in a vast, safe sphere where the noise of the inner planets can never reach. We observe the darkness here, which is not empty, but rich with starlight. Without an atmosphere or nearby bright planets to drown them out, the stars here shine with a piercing, steady brilliance. The Milky Way stretches across the field of view like a solid band of diamond dust, brighter and more detailed than any painting, a river of light that has no beginning and no end. In this depth of darkness, the light does not fight to be seen. It simply is, existing in a perfect, high-contrast harmony that soothes the eyes and the mind. Let your mind rest in this velvet blackness, imagining that you are floating in a space where the only thing that exists is the gentle, distant twinkle of peace. We observe that in the Oort cloud, objects can take millions of years to complete one orbit. A comet originating from this region falls toward the sun in a journey that spans eras, witnessing the rise and fall of civilizations on Earth in the blink of an eye. This is time on a galactic scale, a slowness so profound that it makes our daily rushes and worries seem incredibly small and insignificant. It is a perspective that liberates us, showing us that the universe operates on a clock that is patient, forgiving, and incredibly long. You can release the pressure of the ticking clock on your wall. For in the grand scheme of the Oort cloud, this entire night is just a fraction of a second, a tiny pause for you to catch your breath. We observe the interactions between these distant icy bodies and passing stars. Occasionally, a star passing near our solar system will gently nudge the Oort cloud with its gravity, disturbing the comets and sending them on new journeys. It is a subtle, gravitational handshake between our sun and its neighbors, a silent communication that happens over light years, affecting the course of history without a sound. We are not isolated in a bubble. We are gently brushing shoulders with other systems in the dark, engaged in a slow cosmic dance of influence. It reminds us that even when we think we are alone in the dark, we are part of a larger community, connected by invisible threads to the travelers who pass us by. We observe the colors of the outer solar system. The objects here are often reddish-brown due to the presence of tholins, organic compounds formed by ultraviolet radiation striking simple carbon molecules over billions of years. It is the color of old mahogany, of autumn leaves, of dried earth, warm, earthy tones that exist in the coldest part of space. It feels like the universe has painted its boundaries in the colors of sleep and harvest, a visual cue that this is a place of rest. Visualizing these deep, dark reds and browns can help ground you, bringing a sense of warmth and earthiness to your mind as you drift deeper into sleep. We observe the sheer spaciousness of the frozen edge. The distance between objects here is vast. You could fly through the Kuiper Belt for 1,000,000 years and never see a single rock unless you aimed for it. It is not a crowded field of debris as seen in movies, but a realm of immense emptiness where each object drifts in its own private solitude. This space is a luxury, a vast room where nothing bumps into you, nothing demands your attention, and you have all the room in the world to simply float. Let this feeling of space expand within you, pushing back the walls of your room, creating a wide, open sanctuary where your thoughts can drift apart and dissolve. We look back toward the center from this great distance. From the Oort cloud, The Earth is invisible, a microscopic speck lost in the glare of the sun, which itself is just a star among stars. All the noise, the history, the urgency of our planet has vanished into the light. It is the ultimate release, the point where everything that seemed heavy or important fades away, leaving you light, unburdened, and free. From here, you are no longer a person with a list of tasks. You are a point of consciousness floating at the edge of forever, watching the beautiful, silent machinery of the universe turn slowly in the dark. Leaving the icy silence of the solar system's edge, we now let the currents of the galaxy carry us deeper into the interstellar medium, drifting toward the great glowing clouds where the stars themselves are born. We observe the vast and beautiful structures known as nebulae. In the language of astronomy, a nebula is an enormous cloud of dust and gas occupying the space between stars, often spanning hundreds of light years across. These are the stellar nurseries, the quiet, hidden wombs of the galaxy where the raw materials of the universe wait in patience to become something new. Imagine a cosmic fog, thick and luminous, glowing like a lantern in the night, a veil of creation that hangs motionless against the velvet backdrop of the void. In these clouds, we find the reassurance that the universe is not empty, but is filled with the potential for life and light, waiting quietly for the moment to unfold. We observe the extreme cold that is necessary for a star to begin its life. Inside a molecular cloud, the temperature must drop to near absolute zero, just a few degrees above the point where all motion stops, so that the gas becomes dense enough to clump together. It is a paradox of creation that the hottest fires in the universe must begin in the deepest, coldest freeze, a stillness so profound that it allows gravity to take hold. It is the hush before the song, a deep breath taken by the cosmos in the freezing dark before it exhales the brilliance of a new sun. This teaches us that periods of cold and inactivity in our own lives are not wasted, but are often the necessary conditions for gathering the strength to shine. We observe the gentle, inward pull of gravity within the cloud. Over millions of years, gravity slowly draws the dust and gas together, overcoming the internal pressure of the cloud until it begins to collapse inward upon itself. This is not a violent crash, but a slow, elegant gathering, like a blanket being pulled tight around a sleeping form, tucking the energy into a smaller and smaller space. We can visualize it as the universe hugging itself, a long, slow embrace that concentrates the essence of the cloud into a single warm point of focus. It reminds us that we are often drawn to where we need to be by invisible forces, guided gently toward our center by the gravity of our own purpose. We drift into the breathtaking caverns of the Orion Nebula. Located in the sword of the constellation Orion, this is one of the closest and brightest star-forming regions to Earth, visible to the naked eye as a fuzzy star. It is a cavern of illuminated gas and dust, carved out by the intense ultraviolet light of 4 massive young stars known as the Trapezium cluster. Imagine floating inside a cathedral made of vapor, where the walls are sheets of glowing hydrogen and the ceiling is open to the infinite black, lit by the blue-white radiance of newborn giants. In this celestial room, we feel a sense of reverence, witnessing the architecture of the heavens being built in real time, a slow-motion construction of light and beauty. We observe the famous pillars of creation within the Eagle Nebula. These are towering columns of interstellar gas and dust, standing light years tall, which are being slowly eroded by the powerful winds of nearby stars. They stand like ancient statues in the dark, silent sentinels that shelter the embryonic stars forming within their dense, dark fingertips. They look like stalagmites rising from the floor of a cosmic cave, eroded not by water, but by the relentless, invisible flow of starlight. over eon. These pillars teach us about endurance, standing tall and preserving the delicate life within them, even as the winds of the universe blow against their surfaces. We observe the colors of the nebulae, specifically the deep glowing reds. This red glow comes from hydrogen gas that has been energized by nearby stars, a process called ionization where the atoms absorb energy and release it as red light. It is the color of a dying ember or a warm hearth, a soft, pervasive flush that fills the darkness with a sense of temperature and life. The universe appears to be blushing, radiating a gentle warmth that signals the activity of creation happening deep within the mist. Let this warm red light fill your mind's eye, a soothing, heavy color that weighs down your eyelids and wraps you in a feeling of comfort and safety. We observe the reflection nebulae, which shine with a soft blue light. Unlike emission nebulae that create their own light, these clouds are composed of fine dust that scatters the light of nearby stars, much like the sky scatters sunlight, to appear blue. It is a ghostly, ethereal glow, like sunlight filtering through a morning mist or the pale reflection of the moon on a calm lake. These clouds act as the mirrors of the cosmos, holding up a glass to the stars and spreading their brilliance into a soft, diffuse haze that is easy on the eyes. It suggests that we do not always need to be the source of the light. There is a quiet beauty in simply reflecting the goodness and brightness of those around us. We observe the dark nebulae, the silhouettes against the starry field. These are clouds so dense and thick with dust that they block the light from the stars behind them, creating patches of absolute blackness in the sky. The Horsehead Nebula is the most famous of these, looking like the shadow of a night chess piece rising silently from a sea of red gas. It is a secret kept in the dark, a curtain drawn across the window of the universe to provide a place of total privacy and shadow. These dark places remind us that rest requires shadow, that we need the absence of light just as much as we need its presence to feel whole and balanced. We observe the proto-stars, the infant stars hidden within the dust. Deep inside the pillars and clouds, spinning disks of matter are feeding the growing cores of new stars, which are not yet hot enough to shine with visible light. They are currently glowing only in infrared, a type of heat light that can penetrate the dust, revealing them as warm, beating hearts wrapped in blankets of cold gas. They are sleeping giants, gathering their mass in the quiet dark, preparing for the moment millions of years from now when they will finally open their eyes. This slow gestation tells us that great things take time to prepare. Nothing meaningful happens instantly, and the time spent preparing in the dark is essential. We observe the phenomenon of a Herbig-Haro object. As a new star forms, it often ejects narrow jets of gas from its poles, which travel at high speeds and collide with the surrounding cloud, creating glowing bow shocks. These look like two thin beams of light stretching out into the void, a cosmic announcement that a star is waking up and stretching its arms. It is a gentle release of energy, a first breath that clears the space around the newborn, pushing back the curtain to create a clearing for its future solar system. It reminds us of the first stretch in the morning. We observe the eventual dispersal of the nebula. Over millions of years, the radiation from the new stars will slowly blow away the remaining gas and dust, revealing a brilliant open cluster of stars. The nursery does not last forever. It fades away like morning fog, leaving behind a family of siblings who will travel together through the galaxy for a time. It is a slow and natural unveiling, a gentle transition from the protective womb of the cloud to the open freedom of interstellar space. It speaks to the impermanence of all things, how even the massive structures that birth stars eventually dissolve, their purpose fulfilled, leaving only light behind. We observe the recycling of matter in planetary nebulae. Despite the name, these are not related to planets, but are the beautiful, glowing shells of gas ejected by dying stars like our sun at the end of their lives. They are not scenes of death, but of transformation, where the star gently puffs its outer layers into space, creating complex flower-like patterns of green, blue, and red. It is the universe recycling itself, seeding the darkness with the elements that were forged in the star's core, providing the dust for the next generation of nebulae. It is a comforting loop, a circle of life, written in gas and light, assuring us that nothing is ever wasted and every ending is merely the material for a new beginning. We observe the sheer scale of time in these nurseries. The process of star formation is incredibly slow. It takes 10 million years for a star like our Sun to fully form from a collapsing cloud. To a nebula, the entire history of the human race would pass in less than the blink of an eye. The cloud changes with a slowness that is indistinguishable from stillness. Watching a nebula is like watching a mountain grow, a lesson in a patience so deep and vast that it quiets the human mind instantly. You can borrow this patience tonight. Let your own thoughts slow down to match the speed of the nebula, drifting through the millions of years without a care. Although they look dense from a distance, the gas in a nebula is actually incredibly thin. A vacuum cleaner on Earth would contain more particles than a cubic mile of a nebula. If you were floating inside one, you might not even realize it. You would see only a faint glow around you and the stars shining clearly in the distance. It is a ghostly presence, a subtle environment that holds you without touching you, a space that is both filled and empty at the same time. It is the perfect environment for sleep. A place where there is no pressure, no resistance, only a vast, tenuous atmosphere that supports your drift into dreams. Every atom in your body, from the carbon in your cells to the iron in your blood, was once floating in a nebula like this billions of years ago. You are not looking at something alien. You are looking at your own history, at the cosmic cloud that eventually coalesced to form the Earth and you. You are a child of the nebula, a piece of the universe that has awakened to look back at its own cradle. Rest in this connection, knowing that you belong to the stars, that you are made of the same ancient glowing stuff as the beautiful clouds drifting above. Having drifted through the glowing mists of the stellar nurseries, we now turn our senses to the invisible forces that govern the motion of the heavens, the silent hands that hold the universe together in a delicate and eternal embrace. In the classical view defined by Isaac Newton, gravity is a force of attraction that exists between any two masses, a universal pull that reaches across the vacuum to connect every object to every other object. It is the invisible thread that weaves the tapestry of the cosmos into a single piece, a gentle, persistent tug that ensures nothing in the universe is ever truly isolated or alone. We can imagine it as a vast, unseen web of affection, a longing that matter feels for other matter, constantly whispering, "Come closer," across the infinite distances of the dark. This force reminds us that connection is the natural state of existence. Even in the deepest silence of space, you are connected to the Earth, to the Moon, and to the stars by this unbreakable bond. We observe the more complex understanding of gravity as the curvature of space-time. Albert Einstein taught us that gravity is not just a force, but the result of massive objects like stars and planets, bending the fabric of space and time around them, creating valleys/dips/curves that other objects roll into. Picture a heavy softball resting on a stretched velvet sheet, creating a gentle depression where smaller marbles can circle and settle comfortably. The Earth is resting in the curved dip of the Sun, and you are resting in the curved dip of the Earth, held safely in a pocket of space-time that was shaped just for you. It is a comforting thought that the universe bends to accommodate your presence, that the very space around you curves to cradle your weight and keep you grounded. We observe that gravity is the architect of the galaxy's shape. The galaxy holds together because of something we cannot see, a gravitational binding that prevents the stars from flying off into the intergalactic void. Gravity acts as the potter's hands, shaping the random clouds of gas into the beautiful flat spiral disk of the Milky Way, smoothing out the chaos into a form of perfect order. It is a slow sculpting process that has taken billions of years, molding the galaxy with a patience that is beyond our comprehension, turning a messy cloud into a majestic wheel of light. Just as gravity holds the galaxy in a gentle, stable embrace, allow yourself to be held by the surface beneath you, trusting that you are supported by the architecture of the world. We observe the mystery of the galaxy's rotation speed. By all logic and visible calculations, the outer edges of the galaxy are spinning too fast. They should be flung out into space like water from a spinning wheel. The visible stars and gas simply do not have enough mass to generate the gravity needed to hold on to these fast-moving outer regions. The answer is dark matter, a mysterious substance that does not shine, reflect, or block any light, yet it exerts gravity. And there is so much of it that it outweighs all the visible matter. It is the invisible scaffolding that holds everything in place, the hidden foundation that allows the visible beauty of the stars to exist without flying apart. We observe the nature of this dark matter as a silent guardian. This substance passes right through Earth, through your house, and through your body without interacting with any of your atoms, existing as a ghost in the machine of the universe. It is the ultimate introvert of the cosmos, a presence that does the heavy lifting of holding the galaxy together while remaining completely unseen and demanding no attention. We can think of it as a quiet, gravitational shroud, a vast ocean of silence in which the galaxies float like bioluminescent jellyfish, supported by the water they cannot see. It teaches us that the most important things in life are often the ones we cannot see, the silent supports that keep our world intact while we sleep. We observe the structure of the cosmic web. On the largest scales, galaxies are not scattered randomly, but are arranged in vast filaments and sheets, tracing the skeleton of dark matter across the universe. These filaments look like the neural pathways of a giant brain, or the delicate strands of a spiderweb glistening with dew, stretching across billions of light years. It is a network of light and gravity, a grand design that connects the Milky Way to distant clusters, creating a river system where galaxies flow along the currents of gravity. You are a small but essential part of this great web, a single node in a structure of infinite complexity, securely woven into the fabric of reality. We observe the phenomenon of gravitational lensing. Because gravity bends space, massive objects like galaxy clusters can act as giant lenses, bending and magnifying the light from objects behind them. This creates arcs and rings of light in the sky, warping the view of the distant universe into dreamlike shapes, like looking through the bottom of a wineglass. It is the universe's way of playing with light, creating natural telescopes that allow us to see further and deeper than our eyes should permit. It suggests that perspective is fluid, that the heavy things in life can actually help us see the distant things more clearly if we look through them the right way. We observe the slow, majestic rotation of the Milky Way. Our entire galaxy is rotating around its center, but it is not a fast spin. It moves with the majestic slowness of a great clock. It is a vast spiral of stars, dust and dark matter, moving slowly through space. This creates a sense of immense, unhurried motion, a carousel of starlight that turns so smoothly that we, the riders, feel only perfect stillness. The universe does not rush, and neither should you. You are traveling on a vehicle that takes distinct eras to complete a single circle, so there is plenty of time for you to rest. We observe the interaction between galaxies, a dance called a merger. When two galaxies collide, it is not a crash, but a slow, elegant dance between two great spirals that unfolds over billions of years. Because the space between stars is so vast, the stars themselves almost never collide. Instead, they pass through each other like two ghosts walking through the same room. Their gravity will warp and fold them into a new, vast and quiet form, blending their histories together into a single, larger, elliptical galaxy. This transforms the idea of collision into one of union, showing that two complex beings can come together to create something new without destroying the individual lights within them. We observe the Great Attractor, a gravitational anomaly. Our galaxy, along with thousands of others, is flowing like a river toward a mysterious region of space known as the Great Attractor, pulled by an immense concentration of mass. We are drifting through the universe at 1,000,000 miles per hour toward this hidden point, caught in a cosmic current that is wider than the sky. It is like a leaf floating on a gentle stream, moving toward a destination we cannot see, guided by the slope of the universe itself. There is peace in surrendering to the flow, in acknowledging that we are being carried by forces larger than ourselves toward a future that is waiting for us. We observe the concept of escape velocity. There are rogue stars flung from the core, traveling at speeds fast enough to escape the gravity of the Milky Way entirely. They remind us that even in a galaxy bound by gravity, there are moments of quiet release, expulsions that send stars flying into the intergalactic night. These are the lonely travelers, glowing comets with no return, drifting into the absolute freedom of the void between the islands of light. While most of us find comfort in the gravity that holds us, it is soothing to know that total freedom exists for those who need to fly alone in the silence. We observe the tidal forces that shape the moons and planets. Just as the moon pulls the tides of Earth, gravity stretches and squeezes the interiors of moons like Io and Europa, creating heat and the cold darkness. This internal friction keeps the hearts of these worlds warm and liquid, allowing oceans to exist beneath miles of ice, hidden from the sun. It is a form of affection that warms from the inside out, a gravitational massage that prevents these worlds from freezing solid in the depths of space. It reminds us that we are often kept warm by the influence of those close to us, that the pull of relationships keeps our hearts from becoming cold. We observe the balance between gravity and expansion. While gravity tries to pull everything together, the expansion of the universe is stretching everything apart, creating a cosmic tension. But here, within our galaxy, gravity has won the battle. We are in a safe harbor, where the expansion cannot tear us apart. We are gathered together in a gravitational huddle, protected from the loneliness of the expanding void by the collective mass of our neighbors. You are safe here, held close by the Earth and the Sun, immune to the drift that separates the distant galaxies, anchored in a zone of togetherness. We observe the feeling of weight as a gift of gravity. The sensation of weight you feel right now is simply the Earth greeting your mass, the planet reaching up to claim you as its own. It is a constant, steady signal that says, "You are here." A physical tether that keeps you from floating away into the cold, airless sky. Let your body grow heavy, as if gravity itself has softened, transforming from a force into a warm fluid that surrounds and supports you. Allow this heaviness to sink you deeper into the mattress, trusting that the Earth will never let you go, that it will carry you safely through the night until the sun returns. We observe the center of gravity within yourself. Just as the universe has a center of mass, you have a center of gravity, a point of balance within your own body where all forces equalize. As you lie still, you can feel this point settling. finding its equilibrium, aligning with the center of the planet below you. You are a small planet in your own right, a world of thoughts and dreams orbiting a center of peace that resides deep within your heart. Rest now in that center, perfectly balanced, perfectly held, revolving slowly in the quiet, radiant sea of stars. We have drifted through the silent outer rims and navigated the spiral arms, and now we allow the deep gravitational current to pull us inward toward the mysterious and radiant center of our galactic home. We observe that as we approach the galactic center, the stars become much more numerous. In the spiral arms where Earth resides, stars are light years apart, but in the central bulge, the stellar density increases dramatically, with stars packed thousands of times closer together. It is like moving from the quiet, scattered countryside into the heart of a glittering celestial city, where the night sky is no longer black, but is awash in a continuous, glowing haze of starlight. Imagine a sky so full of light that there is no true darkness, a realm where a million suns shine together to create a permanent golden twilight that wraps everything in warmth. This density reminds us that we are part of a great community, that while we may feel alone in our quiet corner, the heart of our home is crowded with company and light. We observe the galactic bulge, the massive spherical gathering of stars at the core. This is a peanut-shaped accumulation of stars that swells out from the flat disk of the galaxy, containing roughly 10 billion stars that orbit in chaotic three-dimensional paths. These are not the bright blue youth of the spiral arms, but are mostly older, redder stars that have been burning for billions of years, creating a warm, amber glow. They look like elder spirits from a time before spirals, before order, moving slowly and high above the galactic plane in a swarm of ancient wisdom. In their light, we see a universe that was younger, wilder, and still learning to become what it is, preserving the memory of the galaxy's infancy in their slow-burning hearts. We journey to the very center to meet Sagittarius A, the supermassive black hole. Located 26,000 light-years from Earth, this is an object with a mass equivalent to 4 million suns, compressed into a space no larger than the orbit of Mercury. It is a singular point of gravity at the very center of our galaxy, a region where space is curved so profoundly that not even light can escape its grip. It is not a monster, but a silent conductor, a heart of immense quiet that sits invisibly in the dark, pulling stars into a slow, relentless, and graceful dance. It serves as the great anchor of our existence, a heavy, steady hand in the middle of the spinning wheel that keeps the entire galaxy from drifting apart. We observe the event horizon, the point of no return. This is the spherical boundary around the black hole, the precise threshold where the escape velocity exceeds the speed of light, marking the edge of the visible universe. It is the ultimate cliff of silence, a smooth, perfect shadow that defines the limit of our knowledge, beyond which lies a mystery that can never be solved. Imagine it as a calm, black lake that has no ripples, a surface so still and so deep that it absorbs everything that touches it. There is a profound peace in this finality, a reminder that there are boundaries we are not meant to cross, and that some mysteries are meant to remain beautifully unsolved. We observe the accretion disk, the halo of light surrounding the darkness. Matter falling toward the black hole does not fall straight in, but spirals around it, forming a flattened disk of superheated gas and dust that glows with intense brightness. It creates a ring of fire that outlines the shadow, a brilliant golden halo that makes the invisible visible by tracing its silhouette against the dark. It looks like a cosmic eye staring back at us from the center of all things, an eye that does not blink, watching over the rotation of the galaxy with an eternal patience. It teaches us that even in the presence of the deepest void, there is light. In fact, It is the darkness itself that allows the light to shine so brightly around it. We observe the phenomenon of time dilation near the core. According to the theory of general relativity, the intense gravity near a black hole causes time itself to slow down significantly relative to the outside world. If you were to drift close to this center, seconds would stretch into hours and hours into years, creating a pocket of reality where the rush of time ceases to exist. It is the sanctuary of the eternal present, a place where the ticking clock melts away, leaving only a long, suspended moment of being. You can invite this sensation into your room right now, imagining that the gravity of sleep is slowing down time, stretching this night into a long, restful era. We observe the S-stars, the brave dancers of the core. These are a group of young, massive stars that orbit dangerously close to the black hole, whipping around it at incredible speeds of millions of miles per hour. Despite the immense danger, they do not crash. They follow perfect elliptical paths, skimming the edge of the abyss before swinging back out into safety. They are the instruments in the orchestra, led by the silent conductor, playing a visual symphony of motion that proves order can exist even on the edge of the unknown. They remind us that we can live close to great forces and still maintain our own path, that balance is possible even when the gravity of life feels overwhelming. We observe the thick lanes of dust that hide the center from our view. Between Earth and the galactic core lie vast clouds of interstellar dust that absorb visible light, creating the great rift that splits the Milky Way in our night sky. Because of this, we cannot see the center with our eyes. It remains hidden behind a heavy curtain of cosmic velvet, revealing itself only to telescopes that can see in infrared. It is a center that prefers to remain private, tucked away behind layers of protection, like a secret garden walled off from the casual observer. This suggests that the core of who you are is also allowed to be hidden, that it is natural to keep your deepest self safe and obscured from the world while you rest. We observe the magnetic filaments that thread through the center. Radio telescopes reveal long, thin strands of magnetic energy stretching for light years near the galactic core, looking like the strings of a harp. These filaments are organized and parallel, humming with magnetic tension, vibrating in the high-energy environment of the nucleus. Imagine the galaxy as a giant instrument, with these invisible strings resonating in the dark, playing a song of magnetism and gravity that holds the structure together. We are living inside a song, vibrations of energy that weave through the vacuum, connecting the core to the edges in a harmony we feel rather than hear. We observe that the center is a place of creation as well as consumption. The immense pressure and density near the core compress gas clouds to form new stars at a furious rate, creating clusters of brilliant, massive suns. It is not a graveyard, but a busy, thriving metropolis where the cycle of birth and death happens faster and more intensely than anywhere else. It is a radiant transformation, a cosmic firework display that blossoms and seeds the galaxy with heavy elements, proving that the center is the engine of life. This duality of the black hole and the starbursts teaches us that every end is a beginning, and that the deepest gravity can birth the brightest lights. We observe the ancient globular clusters that hover around the core. Surrounding the galactic bulge like bees around a hive are the globular clusters, spherical collections of hundreds of thousands of very old stars. Their chemical fingerprints show almost no heavy elements, suggesting they were born shortly after the Big Bang, making them the oldest inhabitants of the Milky Way. They move slowly and high above the galactic plane, like elder spirits patrolling the boundaries of the kingdom, watching the spiral arms turn below them. They have witnessed the entire history of the galaxy, enduring for 12 billion years in a state of quiet. We observe the Fermi bubbles, the breath of the galaxy. Extending thousands of light years above and below the galactic center are two giant bubbles of gamma-ray emitting gas. These are not violent explosions, but vast, slow-expanding domes of energy, looking like two giant lobes of breath exhaled into the halo. It is as if the galaxy itself is breathing, a respiration cycle that takes millions of years to complete. As you lie there, match your breath to this cosmic rhythm, inhaling slowly and exhaling fully, releasing your own energy into the quiet space around you. We observe the concept of the galactic year. Our solar system orbits this center at a distance of 26,000 light years, taking roughly 230 million Earth years to complete one full circle. The last time we were in this position in the galaxy, the first dinosaurs were just beginning to appear on Earth. We have traveled a long way since then. The universe will continue its dance. The stars will continue their long, slow orbits, and we are simply passengers on this immense circular journey. This vast timescale dissolves our daily worries, reducing them to nothingness against the majestic, slow turning of the great wheel. We observe the origin of the elements within us. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, and the carbon in your genes were all fused in the hearts of ancient stars that lived and died near the galactic core. When these stars exploded as supernovae, they scattered these elements across the galaxy, eventually coalescing to form the Earth, and, ultimately, you. Not every star in the Milky Way was born here, but the material that makes you is star stuff, recycled and reassembled into a form that can think. You are the universe arranging itself into a pattern that can breathe. You are not separate from the galaxy. You are the galaxy experiencing itself. Despite the activity around it, the singularity itself is a point of zero volume and infinite density, a place where all dimensions collapse into one. It is the mathematical definition of a center, the pivot point around which everything else revolves. It is the quiet, unseen foundation that allows all this visible beauty to exist, holding the galaxy in a gentle, stable embrace. Find your own center now, that quiet point deep inside you that remains still no matter what is spinning around you. We turn our gaze back outward from the center. Looking out from the core, the galaxy would appear as a band of diamond dust, wrapping 360 degrees around the sky, a spectacle of unimaginable beauty. But here, safe in the spiral arm, we have the perfect vantage point, far enough away to see the beauty without being caught in the crush. We're in the suburbs of the galaxy, a quiet, leafy neighborhood where the nights are dark and the sleep is deep. Be grateful for this distance, for the quiet corner of the cosmos where Earth resides, allowing us the peace to close our eyes and drift away. We have explored the planets, the stars, and the heart of our own galaxy, and now, for our final journey, we cast our minds out into the unimaginable distances of the deep universe, drifting into the river of time itself. Located 2.5 million light-years away, Andromeda is a massive spiral galaxy even larger than our own Milky Way, containing perhaps 1 trillion stars. It appears in our night sky as a faint, fuzzy smudge of light. But in reality, it is a magnificent island universe, a swirling disk of blue and gold that is silently watching us from across the void. We can imagine it as a sister spirit to our own home, a mirror image reflecting the grandeur of the spiral form, floating in the sea of night with a calm, majestic presence. Even across such vast distances, there is a connection, a gravitational bond that links us to this distant giant, proving that nothing in the universe is truly isolated. We observe the slow, inevitable approach of Andromeda. Unlike most galaxies which are moving away from us, Andromeda is moving toward the Milky Way at a speed of 70 miles per second, destined to meet us in 4 billion years. This event will not be a crash, but a slow, elegant dance between two great spirals that unfolds over eons, where stars pass harmlessly by one another like ghosts in the mist. Their gravity will warp and fold them into a new, vast, and quiet form, blending their histories together into a single, larger, elliptical galaxy. This future union tells us that destiny is patient, that the universe plans its meetings billions of years in advance, and that change, when it comes, can be a form of beautiful integration. We observe the cluster of galaxies known as the local group. The Milky Way and Andromeda are just the two largest members of a collection of more than 54 galaxies, all bound together by their mutual gravity. Most of these are small dwarf galaxies, hovering around the giants like moths around a lantern, creating a cosmic village that travels together through the expanding universe. It is a family of light in the dark, a localized pocket of order where gravity still holds sway against the tide of expansion, keeping the neighbors close. It comforts us to know that our home is part of a clan, a cluster of warmth and mass that huddles together for company in the vastness of the intergalactic night. We observe the concept of looking back in time, because light travels at a finite speed of 186,000 miles per second. Looking out into the universe is exactly the same as looking back into the past. When we look at a star, we are seeing it not as it is now, but as it was years or centuries ago. We are watching a history that has already happened. The night sky is a time machine, a vast archive where the past is still alive and visible, glowing with the light of eras that have long since faded on Earth. This realization slows down the present moment, reminding us that time is not a fleeting instant, but a deep, visible ocean where the past and present coexist in the light. We observe the Hubble Deep Field, a window into infinity. When astronomers pointed the Hubble Space Telescope at a tiny, empty patch of sky, no larger than a grain of sand held at arm's length, they discovered thousands of galaxies. In that speck of darkness, there were spirals, ellipticals, and irregulars, each containing billions of stars, stretching back 13 billion years in time. It revealed that the darkness is not empty, but is thick with worlds, a tapestry of existence so deep and so rich that our minds cannot fully grasp its scale. Let your mind float in this abundance, resting in the knowledge that there is always more space, always more light, and always more mystery than we can ever exhaust. We observe the expansion of the universe. Beyond our local group, every other galaxy is moving away from us, carried by the expansion of space itself, which stretches like a sheet of rubber. The farther away a galaxy is, the faster it recedes, shifting its light toward the red end of the spectrum in a phenomenon known as redshift. It is as if the universe is taking a deep, eternal breath, inhaling slowly and expanding its chest, creating more and more space between the islands of matter. This expansion creates room for silence, stretching out the distances so that every galaxy has its own private domain, its own vast territory. We observe the mysterious force called dark energy. This is the unknown energy that permeates all of space and is accelerating the expansion of the universe, pushing galaxies apart faster and faster. It is a gentle, invisible pressure that works against gravity, a cosmic wind that blows through the vacuum, ensuring that the universe never collapses back on itself. Imagine it as the breath of the cosmos, a force of lightness and growth that opens up the sky, making the universe wider and deeper with every passing second. It suggests that the natural state of things is to open up, to release the tightness and allow space to grow between things, just as you release tension to find sleep. We observe the cosmic microwave background, the oldest light in the universe. This is a faint glow of microwave radiation that fills the entire sky, the cooling afterglow of the Big Bang itself, dating back to 380,000 years after the beginning. It is a wall of ancient light that marks the limit of what we can see, a uniform fog of energy that has cooled down to just a few degrees above absolute zero. It is the first lullaby ever sung, a hum of static that has been vibrating through the cosmos for nearly 14 billion years, touching everything that exists. Resting in the presence of this primordial glow, we are bathed in the original warmth of creation, a relic of the time when everything was one. We observe the great voids, the deserts of the universe. Between the filaments of galaxies lie immense regions of nothingness, such as the Boötes void, which spans hundreds of millions of light years and contains almost no galaxies. These are the silent oceans of the cosmos, vast spheres of absolute emptiness where not even a single star breaks the darkness. They are the ultimate sanctuaries of peace, places where matter has been cleared away to leave only pure, undisturbed space. Imagine drifting into one of these voids, floating in a perfect, weightless silence, where there are no objects, no distractions, only the velvet comfort of the deep dark. We observe the life cycle of the universe itself. The universe had a beginning, and it is evolving toward a state of maximum entropy, where energy is evenly distributed and activity slows down. This is not a tragic end, but a slow settling, a gradual transition from the fiery energy of youth to the cool, calm stability of eternity. It is like a storm finally blowing itself out, leaving behind a calm sea that stretches to the horizon, perfectly flat and perfectly still. We are part of this long unwinding, this great relaxation of the cosmos, and your sleep tonight is a microscopic mirror of this universal desire to rest. We observe the element of time as a dimension. In the view of physics, time is not just a flow, but a dimension like length or width, forming a block universe where the past, present, and future all exist together. Time always flows forward, but no one can explain why. It is the river that carries us, yet the landscape we pass remains behind us, unchanging. From the perspective of the stars, your life is a bright, beautiful flash in the pan, a moment of consciousness that is precious because it is brief. But in this moment, you are eternal. As you close your eyes, you step out of the stream of time and float in the stillness of your own being. We observe the concept of deep time. The universe operates on scales that dwarf human comprehension. Stars live for billions of years, and black holes will exist for quadrillions of years. Against this backdrop, our daily stresses and deadlines dissolve into nothingness. They are too small to be measured by the clock of the galaxy. We have wandered through ancient starlight and unseen forces, feeling the quiet, turning motion of our cosmic home. Let all those facts and images dissolve now, for the mind has done enough work, and the sheer scale of the universe invites you to let go of the small things. We observe that we are made of the universe. The atoms in your hand are as old as the universe itself, having traveled through stars and supernovae to be here, right now, forming you. You are the universe arranged in a pattern that can think, breathe, and wonder. You are the cosmos waking up to say hello to itself. You are a living thread in the long unfolding pattern of time. Not just a passenger on Earth, but a participant in the great dance of existence. You belong here, in this quiet, radiant sea of stars, held by gravity, warmed by starlight, and protected by the vast, comforting silence of the deep. We observe the ultimate stillness of the far future. Trillions of years from now, when the last stars have faded, the universe will enter the dark era, a time of black holes and particles drifting in the dark. It sounds lonely, but it is the ultimate peace, a state of perfect equilibrium where nothing changes, nothing hurts, and nothing disturbs the silence. It is a rest that lasts forever, a final gentle sleep for all of matter and energy. But that is far away, for now the stars are still shining, the planets are still turning, and you are here, safe in your bed, ready to join the rhythm of the night. We observe the simple reality of the present moment. After traveling to the edge of time and back, we return to the here and now, to the rise and fall of your chest, to the warmth of your blankets. The entire universe, with all its galaxies and voids, has led to this specific moment. It is all drifting, all turning, all supporting you in this act of letting go. You are exactly where you need to be, a center of calm in a swirling galaxy, a point of peace in the infinite stream of time. And now, we gently return from the furthest edges of time and space, drifting back from the silent voids and the swirling galaxies to the quiet, safe warmth of your own room. We have traveled unimaginable distances tonight, soaring on the wings of thought past the icy rings of Saturn, through the glowing nurseries of newborn stars, and into the deep, mysterious heart of the Milky Way. But just as every traveler must eventually find their way home, your mind can now descend softly from the heights of the cosmos, settling back into the comfortable heaviness of your body. You have seen the vastness, you have touched the ancient light, and you have felt the silent rhythm that turns the wheel of the heavens. Now there is no more distance to cover, no more facts to learn, and no more horizons to chase. The journey is complete, and the vessel of your imagination has docked safely in the harbor of sleep. Let all the images we have explored begin to dissolve gently behind your closed eyelids. Let the red sands of Mars fade into a soft, warm mist that wraps around you. Let the blue storms of Neptune calm into a still, deep pool of water. Let the brilliant fires of the stars dim down to a low, comforting ember, glowing faintly in the distance, before finally flickering out into the peaceful dark. You do not need to remember the names of the planets or the physics of the black holes. Those details belong to the waking world, and they will be there waiting for you if you ever need them again. For now, they are simply part of the background, a tapestry of knowledge that has been woven into a soft blanket to keep you warm. You can feel the weight of the universe transforming into a feeling of pure relaxation, pressing you deeper into your mattress. The same gravity that holds the galaxy together is now holding you, acting not as a force of physics, but as a gentle embrace from the earth itself. It pulls your shoulders down away from your ears, it uncurls your fingers, and it smooths out the space between your eyebrows. You are anchored here, safe and secure, while the earth continues its slow, silent rotation through the night. You are not just a passenger on this planet. You are a part of it, breathing in rhythm with the atmosphere, your heart beating in time with the slow pulse of the geological clock. If these calm, curious explorations help you unwind, I invite you to like or subscribe. It helps other sleepy souls find their way here too. And now, let all of that drift away entirely. There is a profound peace in realizing that the universe does not need your help to keep turning. The sun will rise tomorrow without your effort. The tides will ebb and flow without your supervision, and the stars will burn through the darkness whether you are watching them or not. You are free from all responsibility. You are free to resign from the post of being awake. The machinery of the cosmos is perfect and self-sustaining, allowing you to let go of the controls and simply drift. We rest in the knowledge that mystery itself is a kind of lullaby. The things we do not know, the dark matter that hides in the void, and the future that has not yet happened are not things to be feared, but are vast, open spaces where we can rest our weary minds. The unknown is soft, dark, and quiet. It is a place where there are no questions and no answers, only the soothing sensation of floating in potential. Allow yourself to sink into this mystery, to float in the spaces between the stars where there is nothing but silence and peace. Your breathing has become slow and steady, a rhythmic tide that rises and falls with an easy grace. With each exhale, you are releasing the final remnants of the day, blowing them out like a candle flame until only the smoke of dreams remains. The room around you has disappeared, replaced by a cocoon of safety that is timeless and boundless. You are floating in the center of your own private galaxy, a place of perfect equilibrium. Let all those facts and images dissolve. Your mind has done enough work for today. The universe will continue its dance. The stars will continue their long, slow orbits. You can let go. You can let go of the need to think, the need to understand, and the need to be anything other than a sleeping soul. The darkness behind your eyes is not empty. It is a velvet curtain that has been drawn to protect your rest. It is rich and heavy, inviting you to sink deeper and deeper into its folds. There is no rush here, no time, no sound. There is only you, drifting further and further away from the shore of consciousness, carried by the gentle current of sleep toward the ocean of dreams. Close your eyes, rest, and dream of a quiet, radiant sea of stars. I hope you sleep well and dream softly. Good night.